Himachal Pradesh, India, land of the gods. Hidden away behind this province's snowy peaks and plunging river valleys of the Himalayan range is a special world. The valleys of Kinnaur and Spiti are a world unto their own, where cultures have intertwined and where the land changes quickly around you, but time in this isolated world has often stood still. India's isolated border region with Tibet has created a unique mix of Indian and Tibetan cultures. Where the forested slopes of Kinnaur eventually give way, you are welcomed into the jagged, mountain-flanked, arid valley of Spiti. Accompanied by the turquoise-gray river of the same name, this land is more of Tibet captured inside the borders of India. Where Buddhism reigns king, this distinct land has seen life continue for millennia largely uninterrupted, and for now, we are lucky enough to call this land our welcoming host.
I am made to be free.
On our first adventure here into the Tibet of India, we found ourselves in SANGLA, which is a small town on our way to CHITKUL, an even smaller town. And the first place that we went to told us to go to CHITKUL. They're like, hey, any rooms available? And they're like, no, go to CHITKUL. So after walking around for a little while and getting told by a couple places that they just weren't interested in having guests, we found a place, and it's like surrounded by, there's like apple trees. I want some apples. And actually, we met up randomly, just walked into a place with the guy that we met at Shimla, and he said it's CHITKUL tomorrow. So we're gonna hop in with him bright and early and get out of here.
Apple orchards, plunging gorges, and the first teases of Tibetan architecture line this river valley. Built from stone and timber in the Kinnauri Way, the small villages spread sparsely along the SANGLA River are awash with tradition and an enviable, hardy simplicity.
CHITKUL is the end of the line in this short mountain valley. An unending land of breathtaking scenery ending in Tibet, this humble village is known as the last village of India. With simple homes and slate-roofed temples constructed in a distinctly Asian fashion, this village sees its share of tourists every year but has remained largely undisturbed.
We arrived into CHITKUL and were instantly taken aback by the beauty of this green mountain-cradled town. Wandering the streets brought a distinct joy and happiness not yet discovered in India. Watching the life of the village move around you while exploring the narrow streets of this world filled our hearts with a love for this place we didn't expect. We were thrilled to discover the temples of this place, so distinct and different from any we expected to see in India. The intricate carvings of Indian gods interwoven with dragons, all alive with the distinct sound of wooden wind chimes adorning the eaves.
Even walking up the closest mountain just a short ways gave us our first look from above of this enchanting town. The bird's eye view lended a new perspective to the town's humble stature among the giants that surround it. It was easy to spend days in this place, absorbing the steady song of cascading mountain rivers and streams littered throughout the walls of the valley. It was easy to forget where you were. Memories of the Rocky Mountains and refreshed hearts saw our times pass in this place too quickly.
So Tristan really wanted to carry one of the bundles.
But I gotta wrap this around my hand. It's moving like tough, like hard as nails.
Does tough work?
Yeah, it's good. It's good, honest work. I don't want to do that.
Good.
So we weren't actually originally going to come to CHITKUL. We weren't going to do the loop actually at all, but I think we're both really happy that we did. It's such like a small
little village
where life sort of just carries on around you.
And I had to wear a fleece.
Yeah,
because it's actually cold here.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good, but it's done. It's done. We got to carry on. We got to go get some paperwork done.
So we got our inner line permits to carry on.
After obtaining our special permits to enter this particular stretch of valley, we crossed into a vastly different landscape. Where once there was alpine forests climbing to snowy peaks, and where apple orchards covered the valley floors, we arrived into the arid land of rock and dust, where the river snaking along the dry valley floor provided this area with its only respite from the dry moonscape. The village of Nako, located on the side of one of an infinite number of surrounding mountains, sits huddled around a sacred mountain lake. With only 10 kilometers to the border, this mountain oasis was the next stop on our journey through this slice of India's Tibet.
The narrow streets of the tiny village were maze-like enough to get lost in this tiny space, and were a pleasure to explore and experience. With prayer wheels interspersed between mud and log houses, this truly felt like a chapter out of the past. While many people stay only for a night or two, we enjoyed this town enough to spend 4 nights and spent our days relaxing by the lake and building stone towers by the prayer wheel overlooking town.
And this is where people do this rock stacking thing. Apparently, if you stack 7, you get a wish. So we had some inner hippie moments and we both made rock towers. And we're going to use this opportunity to share with you a correctly constructed rock tower. It's not constructed on multiple rock bases, nor is it constructed to look fancy, okay? It's there to stand up forever until your wish comes true. Look at that beauty.
We used the opportunity and proximity to ensure we tucked into our fair share of Tibetan dishes, both authentic and more unique.
For the 3rd time in 2 days, tukpa again, because I can't stop eating it.
So we got some momos. And they're chocolate. I'm excited.
This village is filled with friendly, honest locals who always seem to say hello while going about their day and don't seem to care that you have found their own little world.
The small city of Tabo is Spiti Valley's only city beside the largest city of Kaza. Enclosed by gradual mountain slopes, Tabo stands in contrast to much of the other towns we've seen so far. The town is constructed without the charm of antiquity, but with the dull stylings of cookie-cutter concrete houses. This stifles much of the quaint feel in the valley so far. While it's unfair to ask the locals to live in mud huts so tourists can feel warm and fuzzy, it does make exploring this town a much more dull affair. What it lacks in charm, it makes up for in culture. Home to 2 monasteries and a set of ancient caves, this city is a must-stop on a tour of the Spiti Valley.
The caves overlooking town are the simple beginnings of Buddhism here. Said to be meditation caves, abodes, and assembly halls, these caves are black with the soot of 1,000 fires and as many years. One particular cave, tucked into a wood-mud building, is ornately painted and is lit only from the natural light from outside. No cameras allowed.
The old monastery of Tabo was built in 996 AD as Tibet's Guj kingdom expanded. It is India's oldest continually functioning Buddhist monastery, and hidden inside its drab mud walls are some of the most amazing paintings and artwork. Dating from the 10th to the 17th century, these paintings depict both legend and life from the periods of their conception. Unfortunately, these assembly halls and temples are strictly controlled with bans on cameras and unnatural light, so seeing them is something you'll have to do in person. Neighbor to the old monastery, or Gompa, is the new monastery, where the old of the past is continued into the modern of today. Painted red and yellow and standing next to the gilded Chorten, this monastery stands in contrast to its calm, subdued father. Busy with the bustling of monks, both old and young, the bright outside and brighter inside remind you that the idea of a simple Buddhist monk life doesn't have to be dreary. Life in this monastery is a pleasure to watch, and the monks don't seem to mind. They even seem happy enough to answer a question or two if you don't know what's happening.
One day here is enough. 1.5 is plenty. But 2 days seemed like a chore, so we continued on our tour of the valley. We are standing on the side of the road in Tabo. hopefully gonna hitchhike, maybe. So we hitchhiked all day, and then a bus came along, so that was
Bus, but we have to
an
hitchhike
adventure.
from where the bus drops us off up to DANKHAR, regardless.
Yeah. So we just got dropped off at the road that heads up to DANKHAR, and now we are going to slowly walk up and hope for a car.
8 kilometers.
Yeah, but it's really steep. Hitchhiking, part 2.
So hitchhiking's going well, you can tell, because we're walking. I don't know, we're sort of not really good at hitchhiking, I think. Just no luck.
We just got in to the new monastery guest house in DANKHAR. So we did hitchhike, but we walked 5 of the 8 kilometers, or 5 of the 9 kilometers up the side of the mountain before a jeep full of just national tourists who were touring around picked us up. Oh man, it was hard. So yeah, now we're shutting it down even though it's only 3:30.
Up a winding 8-kilometer hill from the road mated to the river of the valley floor, atop disappearing cliffs, is the almost missable map dot of DANKHAR. This town provides a return to the quaint and simple, but with everything undercut and overshadowed by the old monastery watching precariously from its perch atop crumbling pinnacles. This town was surely designed from its beginnings by wise ancient monks with knowledge of past, present, and future to be on the cover of a National Geographic.
It's actually day 2 here?
Yep.
Full day 2 here. As you can see, the views are less stunning than they once were. And, oh no, you can't see those. The mountains are snow-capped now. I spent all day yesterday raining, and we thought we'd hide and get some good editing and video work done, but the power was out. And so the computer died pretty quick, and
We just relaxed.
we
all
just
day.
we did nothing. We did
Had
nothing but
dinner by
like lay in bed
candlelight. It was great.
and then eat and dinner. Yeah, that's right. So now today we're gonna explore. Gonna go whether it's gonna rain or not. We're seeing little peaks of blue sky, but whether it rains or not, we're going out. We're gonna see it. If it's like this again tomorrow, we're gonna leave.
Deng meaning cliff and Khar meaning fort, the old DANKHAR monastery was built around the 1500s.
Due to rapid erosion of the cliff, the World Monument Fund has declared this in the top 100 most endangered sites in the world.
It was great to explore through the old wood, mud, and stone rooms of this ancient monastery and discover for ourselves this unique and vanishing slice of history. A new monastery has been constructed due to the failing condition of the old monastery and currently serves 150 monks. Built in 2009, this new monastery was inaugurated by the current Dalai Lama. Exploring the old and new monasteries was very interesting, and even though we only had half a day of good enough weather, we really enjoyed DANKHAR.
So unfortunately the weather wasn't the greatest here, but it's really quaint and the mountains when you can see them are amazing. And the monastery is really cool.
Like mounted up on the hill and staying in the new monastery is pretty good.
Yeah.
Basic but good. But anyways, on to Kaza.
On to Kaza.
Crisis alert. We're in bed. We've been stranded in DANKHAR now for 1 day. But it doesn't look like it's going to get better, because now, look. It's snowing outside, and we haven't had electricity here for
The entire time we've
the entire time we've been here, like 3 days. So this is the last like 2% on Stacey's phone. Yeah, we can't go south to Tibet, we can't go north to Kaza because all the roads are blocked, and there's no electricity. And
We're just hoping
yeah,
it will stop. Apparently this is really unusual
just
for the area.
call up bed, and we'll stay in this bed for as many days as we need to. The next recording we get will be whenever the hell we get power, wherever that might be.
We spent longer than we expected in this village, mostly huddled up as the province experienced a big storm and most roads were blocked with landslides, mudslides, and fallen boulders. We spent our days without electricity or hot water, phones dead, reading and hanging out with other guests and the 3 brothers running the monastery side homestay. So we finally made it to Kaza. We were stranded in DANKHAR for a couple days, and then the first day that there was some sun, we decided that we would head out to Kaza. So we literally hiked over mudslides and fallen rocks for about 15 kilometers or so until we finally came across someone driving towards Kaza. We did have to bribe a driver of one of those front-end loaders to clear a part of the road to actually make it to Kaza, but once that was done, we made it here, and now it's beautiful and sunny. But yeah, we're pretty happy to be back in civilization with electricity and hot water.
Notably less charming, Kaza is the administrative center of Spiti. The largest town, this place provides logistical support to the entire valley. Home to a monastery and little else to see, this town is a hub for travelers and locals going elsewhere. Here you can get your interline permits, rest after a harrowing drive from Manali, check Wi-Fi one last time, do laundry, or just carry on. Located on the Spiti River, hanging out by this gray turquoise snake is another great way to spend time while you wait before adventuring out.
What this town lacks in charm, it makes up for in location. Many of Spiti's major attractions are reached from this town. Key Monastery, Khyber, HIKKIM, LANGZA, and KOMIC all feed from this hub. The pretty-faced poster boy of Spiti, Key Monastery, is a must-see during a tour of the valley. This ancient monastery sits comfortably atop a hill, overshadowed by cliffs above, but watching Spiti River below. Busy with the teachings of monks and lamas, this monastery also allows for guests to stay within its whitewashed walls, which is exactly what we did.
The simple accommodation and meals were eaten with monks as they go about their daily routine. The goal of the monastery stay is to give guests a taste of the monastic life. But while we were there, a 19 times reincarnated Lama was visiting and gave a week of teachings open to all, so the monastery quickly became a buzzing hub of both locals and monks.
We spent a full day there, eating with the crowds, listening to the teachings, sneaking away when we got bored after 2 hours of something in a language we didn't understand, and hiking our way around this magnificent place.
With 1 full day and 2 nights spent in the monastery, we think this was definitely a highlight of our trip into the Spiti Valley.
Khyber has a couple small gompas, but isn't the most exciting village to explore. It is the trailhead for multi-day hikes to Lahal, so it was a great place for us to do a day of hiking in the Himalayas. So it's my birthday, and we went to Khyber from Key and hiked down to the highest permanent bridge in Asia, and then we hiked up here past the snow line to some prayer flags that are above the Key Monastery with amazing views. It's just insane. So it's a good birthday.
Today we're on our way up to HIKKIM and LANGZA, and it's a ways up. It can be a little bit of trouble to reach without a bus or paying a lot for a cab. So we rented this bad boy, and I know what you're saying, but Tristan, you don't have an Indian driver's license. Disregard the constabulary. We're gonna do this, and I've never driven one of these before, so that's okay. It should be fine.
I'm scared.
We only almost crashed it once, so. So we've arrived now to LANGZA, which has the Buddha statue, a temple, and this is apparently the place to get fossils, so we're going to take a look around here, and I want to find the perfect fossil. Quest for the perfect fossil.
LANGZA, known for its ammonite fossils, is another must-see location in the Spiti Valley. Located on the road to HIKKIM, we recommend combining this trip with a journey to HIKKIM's post office. Everywhere, awash with fossils, it's an easy place to hunt for or just buy from the local kids these unique Himalayan treasures.
The Buddha statue overlooking the town of LANGZA is this town's other major attraction. Staring across the valley, this statue sits neighbor to a 500-year-old temple.
So it's been an hour, and it turns out that I'm not a geologist. I don't even know where to look for these things. But we got a little bit separated. And Stacy is, look at this beast.
Ooh,
That's crazy. So there's how does it make you feel
Very proud.
to be an accomplished geologist like that?
HIKKIM is known for one thing, its post office. Famous for the world's highest post office at 4,440 meters above sea level, this is the only post office to live among the clouds. While some claim that Everest Base Camp is a higher post office, it's not a post office. It's some poor Sherpa that you're forcing to carry down your postcard from the most dangerous peak on the planet. This is the highest brick and mortar post office in the world, where no Sherpas had to die for your 25-cent postcard. You monster. Notably, HIKKIM also claims the highest polling station in the world. So, now we're in HIKKIM, home of the world's highest post office, and I've got some business to attend to.
If you visit, make sure you send your loved ones some unique posts. And who knows, in as little as 2 to 24 months, your friends and family might have some cool new fridge decorations.
To my dearest mother. All right.
Now we've made it to KOMIC, which is the highest village in the world, connected by a motorable road. And the highest restaurant is right behind me. But they just have the most incredible views of these mountains. Oh, it's just amazing. Unfortunately, this is the end of our time here in the Spiti Valley.
Spiti and Kinnaur trip is over.
It's been amazing though. Lots of good food. The people are amazing.
Getting into the Himalayas and
the
seeing like just the strong peaks and the huge valleys and the crazy roads everybody drives on.
Yeah, it's been really, really great. I'm glad we did this spontaneously.
Yeah, just totally randomly decided because other people were doing it. Yeah, it's been awesome. Come check it out, and take it away, Jams.
And so that time in these mountain valleys has ended. A land where time has often stood still, but is slowly being eroded by the forces of technology and time. While the charms of antiquity still paints these mountain valleys with a vibrant color like nowhere else.